What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about frame rates, and we are going to talk about the frame rates offered on the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. This is a great camera and it offers a variety of frame rates for shooting all different types of styles of videos. So let's jump into it. The frame rates offered on the Osmo Pocket 3 are 24, 25, 30, 48, 50, 60, and those are all shot in regular speed. And then if you jump it into the slow motion mode, the Osmo Pocket does offer 100 and 120 frame rates per second in their slow motion mode. And if you want to get real crazy with the Osmo Pocket 3, if you shoot in 1080p, you can bump that up to 240 frames per second in slow motion mode. This is going to be extremely slow. This is going to be 10 times slower than what you would see at regular speed video. Okay, so let's break down each one of these frame rates. So I am always going to shoot my videos at 24 frames per second. That is what most movies here in the United States are shot at, 24 frames per second. And this is going to give you the most cinematic look with your Osmo Pocket 3. Another thing I do want to talk about is the shutter angle. So in order to receive a cinematic motion blur, you really want to be double the frame rate you're shooting at in order to receive a 180-degree shutter angle. So for instance, if I'm shooting at 24 frames per second, I want my shutter most likely to be 1/48 or whatever is closest to that. Or if I'm shooting 60 frames per second, I really want my shutter speed to be 1/120. In order to achieve this outside, it is always nice to introduce an ND filter to your Osmo Pocket 3. I have a variety pack of ND filters which work awesome. This pack is so great, especially because I can put the ND filters on my Osmo Pocket 3 and they will close with the Osmo Pocket 3 in them. It is a great kit. It is from K&F and it offers ND8, ND16, and also ND32 for those right days where you want to be shooting 24 frames per second. Now, if you want a smoother image, you can shoot at 30 frames per second. 30 frames per second is saved a lot of times for broadcast and TV, and a lot of people on YouTube are also shooting 30 frames per second. I personally prefer to shoot at 24 frames per second. However, it is up to you whether you want to shoot 24 or 30 frames per second. However, when starting out on a video, you really want to decide that up front because that is going to be the frame rate that you're going to bring into your timeline, and your exported video is going to be at 24 or 30 frames per second. You cannot jump frame rates for your videos. So for instance, if this video is going to be 24 frames per second, it's going to be 24 frames per second for the whole video. I cannot switch from 24 to 30 to 60 throughout the video. That is just something that is not possible when exporting a video and uploading it to a network or uploading it to YouTube. If you're exporting a video for a nation that may be using the PAL system, you can easily export your footage at 25 frames per second and shoot at 25 frames per second on the Osmo Pocket 3. Now let's talk about 48 and 50 frames per second. So this is going to be double that 24 frames per second. So if I'm shooting at 48 frames per second on the Osmo Pocket 3, when I play back, it is just going to look like ordinary footage until I bring it in my editor and I convert it back to 24 frames per second. So now it is taking 48 pictures in that second instead of 24. But when I bring it into my editor and I convert it back to 24 frames per second, it is going to stretch those frames out. Now I'm going to be able to slow down my video twice as much. This is awesome. I love shooting 50 frames per second on the Osmo Pocket 3. I think the sweet spot on the Osmo Pocket 3 is between 50 and 60 frames per second. Now, if I do want it a little bit slower than double, I will shoot in 60 frames per second because now when I bring it onto my timeline and I stretch it out, it is going to be 2.5 times slower than my original footage. This is great, and I love getting cinematic slow motion shots with the Osmo Pocket 3, especially if I'm traveling or I'm taking video outside. This is an awesome frame rate to be shooting in. It is a great way to shoot your B-roll and add a cinematic effect to your B-roll once you get into post. Now, another helpful tip that you can do is shoot 30 frames per second and then convert it back to 24 frames per second in post. Now, this is going to give you 80% speed on your timeline. So this is great if you just want to slow down your image just a little bit. I use this a lot if I'm shooting something and I really want it to feel natural, but I do want to take the edge off and smooth out the video a little bit. Now the Osmo Pocket 3 does offer a slow motion mode, and here in 4K it'll let you shoot 100 and 120 frames per second. This is awesome. However, when you bring it into post, this is already going to be set to that 24 frames and converted back for you. So this is great if you don't have an editor that can convert it for you. So now when I'm shooting at 100 and 120 frames per second, as soon as I bring it into my editor or send it to my phone, it is going to be playback in slow motion, and you're all set, ready to go. Now, if you want to get really crazy, the Osmo Pocket does offer 240 at 1080 speed. So this is really cool. This is going to be 10 times slower than what the actual footage looks like. Now you do lose a little bit of quality here because it is only 1080, and I believe the bit rate is dropping a decent amount too, because the footage does look a little jittery. But go ahead, have fun with it. If you can capture something at 240 and slow it down 10 times, it's pretty impressive, especially coming off of a camera this small. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining me in this video. I really hope you learned something about frame rates, especially when it comes to Osmo Pocket 3. I think this camera offers a ton of different frame rates for everyone. And as you can see, you can use these in a variety of different situations. It really takes your image and your footage to the next level. If you have any questions, please ask them in the comment section below. Please like and subscribe to my channel, as you know it helps my channel grow. Until next time, peace.